What is going on, people, and welcome back to my final team reveal for FPL Game Week 21 starting tomorrow night. There's been a lot of injury news over the recent days through the cup games that have been going on. Big news is Trent Alexander-Arnold is now out. He's torn ligaments in his knee, so he's going to be out for a while, because I know with injuries and ligaments that they take a long time. So I feel like for at least a month we're not going to be seeing Trent. So if you've got him in, I recently brung him in as well, so it's frustrating. I only got one game week out of him, and now he's out again. So yeah, bad luck on that one. I plan to keep him for now, but obviously he's going to have to be on the bench. So Trent is going to be out for, I reckon, at least a month. Jared Bowen is been said to be out for, originally it said a month for him as well. But someone yesterday told me that it's 2 to 3 weeks now. But whether or not that happens, we'll have to wait and see. What I will say is that Bowen has played through some injuries before, so I think there's a higher chance of seeing him return before Trent does. He messed his ankle up in the last cup game for West Ham. And then Gabriel Jesus has been injured for a little bit as well, with a reoccurring knee problem that he's already had twice this season, so it's the third time already. I've got all three of these players in my team, so my whole bench, apart from the keeper, is flagged, which is not ideal. I do have one free transfer, but I'll get into that in a little bit. Tricky times. There's been a lot of football being played, and with the cup games and that, it was kind of inevitable that some players were going to pick up knocks and injuries. And if you've made your transfers early, even before the cup games got played, you could be in big trouble. Luckily, I haven't, and I've saved my transfer. If you have done that and gone early, then you've left yourself with either having to take a hit or suffer the consequences of just keeping them in the team if you don't have any transfers to make and you don't want to lose points via minusing and taking hits. Here's my team reveal then for Game Week 21 final team. In the sticks, I've gone with Vicario. The other keeper is Neto that I have on the bench. Originally, I had Neto in for this week. I think Bournemouth's chances are even better than they were against Liverpool, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool could go to Bournemouth and at least grab a point. And I feel like Vicario at Tottenham, I've also predicted them to beat Manchester United, even though they're the away team. I feel like Tottenham will win that game. So Vicario, I'm a big fan of him anyway, and I haven't played him yet, so I wanted to get him in for a game. So Vicario starts. Going with a 4-4-2 this week as well. Kyle Walker against Newcastle away. I do fancy City for that game. I feel like they will trouble Newcastle. I think Newcastle's struggling big time at the moment, so I expect City to go there and get the 3 points, to be honest, and Walker is always a mainstay in that team. Pedro Porro, obviously with Vicario away to Manchester United, even if they concede goals, he can still pick up a lot of points, so I fancy Porro for this. Anderson away to Arsenal is more in the team because of injuries. I wouldn't have played him otherwise, but it is what it is for this time right now. Palace could cause Arsenal trouble, but I feel like Arsenal need the 3 points, and I feel like they probably will get it. And then Ben White as my final defender, obviously in that Palace game, but the home team, I fancy Arsenal to get the 3 points. So Ben White comes in. Going into the midfield then, Bukayo Saka did get me a return recently as he got a goal, but before that, he has been poor and underperforming this season, and he is one that I'm considering getting rid of in the near few weeks. I've said in previous videos that I don't feel like you can get rid of him, but I feel like I've gave him more time since then, and it's not really improved a lot. So I am considering getting rid of him at some point. For this week, he stays in. Cole Palmer is an interesting one. I watched him against Middlesbrough the other night. Had a few key chances that he missed, and I felt like it got to him mentally, because at the end of the game, he just stormed off down the tunnel. And I think it's going to affect him for this Fulham game. So originally, I had the captain's armband on him for this week, but I have taken it off of him because I'm worried that against Fulham, are a decent outfit and in good form and high on confidence, and nearly beat Liverpool in the cup last night themselves. I feel like they might struggle, and Palmer specifically, the way he went off in that game at the end of the game, I don't think he's done himself any favours with the Chelsea fans either. And he's going to want to bounce back, but I'm a little bit worried. So I've kept him in. I am starting him, but I'm not captaining him now. Phil Foden, who I have put the captain's armband on, has been one of my best performers this season. Top 3 performers for me this whole season, I'd say. And I think it's his best season he's had so far in his career. I think it's kind of going under the radar a little bit. Obviously, he's benefited with De Bruyne being out because he's had to do more. But it's benefited him on a personal level. And it's helped City at the same time. So, again, going away to Newcastle, I think favours City a lot. And I feel like they will win that game. And I feel like Foden will play a huge part in it. So, I've put the captain's armband on him. John McGinn away to Everton. I feel like Villa could get something at Goodison Park, but I think it could be a tight one. But McGinn, a lot of people talk about getting Louise, Bailey, Diaby and Watkins in for Villa, which I'm not mad at because I've got Watkins myself and I did consider getting Bailey in and Louise at points. But I feel like McGinn goes under the radar. He's their captain. He plays a lot of minutes and he can chip in with, I think he gets more goals than people realise as well. So, and he'll get a lot of assists. I think he's the one Villa player that goes under the radar a lot. So I've had him in for about a month now and I've been pretty pleased with him overall. He starts away to Everton for me, so he's in my team. And then the two up top, I've gone with Ollie Watkins and Dominic Solanke. Watkins away to Villa, as I just spoke about, of McGinn. I feel like Watkins could cause Everton some problems at the back, but I feel like that game will be a tight one. But I've probably edge it a little bit towards Villa if anyone's going to nick that game. I predicted a draw for it in my predictions, but I feel like Villa could edge it slightly more. And then Dominic Solanke, who I think is going under the radar a lot. He's in fine form. I personally think he should be in the England team on the form he's been in at Bournemouth, who I like watching Bournemouth and how they play. Semenyo as well. Senesi at the back. I just think they're a good team. They all know what they need to do. And most weeks they do it. And I feel like at home this week to Liverpool, with Salah out and Trent out, they benefit from it even more. And even before I found out the news that Trent got injured, I did predict Bournemouth to beat Liverpool in this game. I've got a lot of confidence that Bournemouth will win this game, and for that reason I viced Solanke. He is my vice captain. And then on the bench I've got Neto for Bournemouth against Liverpool. First sub, Gabriel Jesus, because he's the least flagged out of my injured players that I've got left. Second sub, Jared Bowen, who is 50% chance of playing. And then we've got Trent as my last sub, who on the Premier League fantasy site says he's not going to be back till at least the 31st of January. I think it might be more than that, to be honest. So I don't plan to get rid of Trent. I feel like I've only had him in like a couple of weeks. And there's too much money in him that I've paid for him, especially because I don't have Salah, Son or Haaland. There's too much money in him for me to get rid of him so soon after just getting him in. So my plan with Trent is to just keep him and hope that he's back in a few weeks, or if not, a month at most. But I think it could be even longer. But I'm going to keep patient with that at the moment. Bowen's one that I'm considering getting rid of again in the short-term future because I haven't had him in long, but West Ham's fixtures aren't the best at the moment. Paqueta's injured as well. He provides a lot. So Bowen's one that's on thin ice for me at the moment, and it's probably more on my part for bringing him in when I did. But with Paqueta out as well, it doesn't benefit Bowen. So, and Jesus hopefully could still get some minutes, even though he's flagged a bit because he's not as serious as the other two. On the information I've got at the moment, it's not promising when that's the third time this season the same injuries happened. Bowen, Jesus are two players that I'm considering getting out soon, but for this week they remain on the bench. And that's my team for this week, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As I said, I do have one free transfer. Originally, I've gone back and forth with about 3 different ideas for players I want to get in, but I couldn't decide on who I wanted to take out. I could do with one free, like, bill of health for injuries in terms of a sub, in case any of the players I've got starting don't start. But I feel like my head is telling me to roll this week for the transfer, and then next week have 2 free transfers, which is what I've decided to do. I was going to use my transfer this week. I've been very tempted with different and multiple ideas, but I'm going to be patient, roll this week. Hopefully all my players play, and I don't have the need for the bench to try and come in. Hopefully most of my players play and play enough minutes. I'm going to roll the transfer. That's my decision. And next week, hopefully it benefits me more having 2 free transfers. Even if I don't use both, just having that option of 2 free transfers is nice. That's my plan for this week, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your team in the comments on what you're doing with this week's games, especially with all the cup games being played and players being away, Asia Cup and African Cup. What are your plans? Let me know in the comments. Enjoy the football this weekend, guys, and I'll see you soon.